I like maybe regret not doing iced tea this week. Hello, good morning. Welcome back everyone to another episode of Tea Time. This is not the right show. Welcome back everyone to another episode of More Mary. I am your host, Miss Mary Lou. Welcome back to the show, my Tea Time fam. And oh my goodness, to all of my Tea Time fam experiencing summer heat wave, I feel you. I'm filming this at midnight and it is still 100 degrees outside. I have a fun week planned for you. We are gonna be doing all nerdy content this week. So let's hop into today's edition of Nerd Fix. Nerd Fix! It's time for Nerd Fix. That's right, we got another Nerd Fix for you today. We're gonna be talking about Dungeons and Dragons, but not just like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons talks like we have had in the past. I was the Dungeon Master for my first campaign ever. It was a one-day, one-shot campaign, and my Dungeon Master for my group that I play with, for his birthday, he wanted to be able to be a player. So he asked if I would take over. I said yes. And I just wanted to talk to you what that experience was like. But before we get into that, if you are not subscribed to the Miss Mary Lou channel already, you are seriously missing out. Please hit the red subscribe button below and the little notification bell so you know when I upload. Oh my goodness, look at the mug I have for you today. Let's hop into some D&D talk. Are you ready? I have notes. All right, so now you know about the like why and how this happened in the first place. Have I ever done it before? No. I have been like a game master for other kinds of role-playing games, but never have I ever been a dungeon master for D&D before. I was confident enough in my ability to improvise and listen to the players to give them what they need to go for this, especially when I knew I did not have a lot of time to prepare. I have a lot more experience DMing games like Weave. First time dungeon master, but not first time game master, so I was excited. Preparation, obviously an important part. I definitely considered maybe trying to improvise the entire thing, but I was like, no, Mary, I don't have a Dungeon Master's Guide or a monster manual or any of that stuff. I just have the player's handbook. Good thing that I had my own Dungeon Master playing the game in case any technical things came up. I felt like I kind of had a support system behind me already because I knew that someone who knew the game really well would be playing with me. So we were going to be playing with our characters plus a character that my Dungeon Master had created, but I didn't want to mess with the current storyline that he had been working on. So this led me to come up with the idea to have it take place in another plane. I had it set in the land of fairies, the Feywild. So a parallel plane of existence where creatures like fairies and elves and all kinds of mischievous fey creatures originate from. And I had planned on it being a rescue mission for my player character. I didn't want to have to worry about like running the game, then also like playing the game and fighting monsters that I knew it was too much. And then it became a rescue mission, automatically gave him a motivation, shablam. So once I had a vague idea, then I kind of thought of tent poles, I like to call them. 3 different things that I wanted to guide the players to throughout their adventure. I wasn't sure if this was a good number. Turns out it was a perfect number. And then once I had my tent poles or like my events figured out, I then kind of filled in the threads. Okay, how do they get from point 1 to point 2? I ended up having it be just like a string of like fairy lights pop up to follow it to the fountain and blah, 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 and they followed it, which was great. I also wanted to make a mix of word puzzles as well as combat, so I did that. They didn't have to kill the pixie they came across, they could just talk with it, negotiate, and the pixie actually had the clue that led them to the final boss battle. And then on top of that, in preparation, because my Dungeon Master made a whole new character for himself, I deliberately planted little seeds for him to play with in his backstory, like how he got there that tied into the mission of the party, and he had unknowingly met an evil creature who wanted him to steal the wings of a pixie. So I presented him with a pixie to see what he would do, planting little nuggets of extra things in there for your players. It's really fun for them, and you as the person running the game kind of get to watch their eyes light up and go like, so then y'all probably are wondering, how did it go? It went super great. It was really fun, and I think my players had fun too. And I'm glad that for me, I left a lot of open gaps as far as like describing exactly what the landscape looks like and adding a couple of things in there because of directions that my players went in the story. So I'm glad that I gave myself enough tent poles to feel like I had something under control, but then also left it open enough, especially because I wasn't worried about like really doing a sequel and continuity, because it was just a single game, just like improvising and having fun. I gotta hand it to my party. They were really curious and adventurous, and I would give them a couple little breadcrumbs and they followed right along. I didn't really have to steer the party too much. It was something that I hadn't experienced in this setting before exactly. And thank you to, I had told you guys on Twitter that I was doing this, and y'all were so supportive and asking me how it went, and it was just so nice. Like, shout out to Geek and Sundry. You guys reached out and you were wonderful. I'm so glad you wanted to know how my campaign went. So that is it for how I made my first Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I thought it might be interesting to some of you who maybe have never played or have played a little and I'm interested in maybe running a game. However you ended up here, I hope that you enjoyed this and it gave you a little bit of insight into how I went about my first time. I learned a lot. It was super fun, and I think I formulated it in a way that was good for me. We have another nerdy episode coming at you for Tuesday. Thank you again so much for watching, and last and most important of all, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on Tuesday. Hello! Thank you so much for watching this episode of More Mary. Hey fam, if you want to hang out every day of the week and not just here on YouTube on Sundays and Tuesdays, all of my social media links are in the description box below. Y'all are wonderful, and I will see you soon, okay? Bye! Confession, this is definitely cold coconut water and not hot tea.